Today, we are going to be talking about four habits of the most successful female CEOs, athletes, business owners, and entrepreneurs from myself, their therapist, that you need in 2025. Now, not all of us might want to get to that point, but whether you're in publishing, whether you're thinking of starting a business, whether you want to do some consultancy work on the side, or whether you're like the women I work with in my Burnout to Brilliance programs, where they've come to me, they're coming to me and they're saying, Sheena, I'm burnt out, I'm anxious, I'm I don't know how long I can keep going like this. I'm ignoring my husband. I'm being angry with my kids. It's this constant grind. And then the work that they used to love is starting to turn into dread. Or they're just burnt out and they're surprised because they're like, I love what I do. I love what I do. But it doesn't mean that you can't burn out from it. So you can absolutely love what you do. You could be thriving in your career and it can still burn you out. So today I want to talk about four habits that not only are going to help you succeed, but they're going to help you become the industry and thought leader that you were born to be. And I want to shift that with you because a lot of women, and including myself, when I first started out, I didn't want to be an industry or thought leader. I just wanted to earn enough to get my bills paid or replace my part-time work and then eventually replace my full-time work. And so you slowly tick away these milestones. Oh, my first sale. And then, oh, I've replaced my part-time work. Oh, I've replaced my full-time work. But like everyone, I burnt out doing that. So I did it in the wrong way. I did it the way that other people were doing it in their businesses. So I really had to take all the business strategy and create strategies both psychologically that helped me get to a point where I had less burnout and strategy wise. So, certain career strategies I needed to have, business strategies I needed to have that increased my income, accelerated my career so that I could be on TV, podcasts, publications, you name it, but made much more impact in much less time with much less work. And so that is what we're going to get into today is how can you be the best of the best? How can you do that with less burnout? And I want to encourage you that if you're feeling any kind of imposter syndrome right now of I'm not the best of my industry or I'm not, I don't know if I want to aim for the top. Maybe you were an old version of me where you kind of want to aim for mediocre. I'm telling you, in the business and career world nowadays, you're going to struggle if you're not aiming to be really good at what you do. Now, here's the other thing. I know lots of business and industry and thought leaders who aren't the best at what they do. I'm just pausing there. I want you to take that in. It's not about who's necessarily the best skill set wise. And again, this is a mistake that I see where, let's say, you've got a spare 20 grand up your sleeve and well, not a spare, but whatever, you've got 20 grand up your sleeve. You're like, I'm putting this towards growing myself, growing my business. And what do? They go for another certification. And what you really need is you really need to invest in yourself. You need to learn how to market yourself, but you can't market yourself unless you know what you stand for. You know who you are and you have the psychological confidence to be in front of people and say that and feel put together and not let your trauma responses or your stress responses get in the way of your success and working with people or working with staff or growing yourself. Because I'm telling you, all the most successful people work on themselves first and foremost before business strategy, before any of that. And that's the thing is that we include so much business strategy in our programs, but so much of it is also you. So let's get into these four habits. Number one, daily visualization and self concept work. Now, I've talked about this numerous times, but I want to drill this home because there's a way that people are doing visualization. I don't want to say wrong because there's no right or wrong way necessarily, but from a spiritual standpoint and psychological standpoint, we really want to feel into it. So I think a lot of people will create a vision board, look at it and go, yep, okay, that's what I want, done. I want you to have a clear mental scene in your mind of who you want to be and where you want to go and how you want life to feel. And then I want you to visualize that every single day so you can tap into that feeling. Why? Because that's the goal. That's what we want life to look like, feel like, be like. But if you're not clear on that, or if you lose sight of that vision, that's when you go off course because you need to have that vision solid and go there every single day because every single time you make a decision, you have to ask yourself, does it align with that vision or it doesn't? Does it? Doesn't. Is it leading me to that life or is it leading me away? Is it leading me, again, with the self-concept work towards the person I'm trying to be, I'm trying to emulate? So, first step with the visualization is, again, inside my programs, we do this, but there's plenty out there of your future self visualization. But the trick here is I actually want you to think of it as a memory. Like this is you're remembering yesterday. You're remembering what your day was like yesterday. And even for me, I've had to shift that because you'll see on my old videos, I have a future self visualization on this channel. If you're watching on YouTube, that is, where I do future self. Now, the reason I say feel it as if it happened yesterday or last week or it's a memory is because from a spiritual perspective, and even psychological as well, if you're always seeing it in the future, it will always be in the future. You need to feel it as if that's just my life now. That is just who I am now, right? So, really tapping into that. Now, the self concept work, this is also from more, if you want to use a more clinical term, sense of self work. Again, I have some strategies around that, but it really comes back to, again, your core values. I have a core values exercise in my free resource library on my website. You can go check that out. Values is one of the very first strategies we will do together when we work together. But values are like, am I being the person I want to be with integrity, with love, with connection? And so self concept work can look like, who are the clients that I want to have? What is the lifestyle I want to have? How do I want to dress? How do I want to hold myself? What kind of presence do I want to have when I go into a room? Do I want to have an energetic presence? Do I want to have a fun presence? Do I want to have a calming presence? Do I want to have a quiet confidence? Do I want to have a powerful presence? And then really thinking about, okay, who are people that have those things that I want to be? Maybe it's people like Oprah or on my own self-concept and slash vision board that I have some fictional characters who I tap into. So for example, on the show Suits, there is a character called Jessica who owns and runs the law firm, and she's got amazing style. She's firm, but she's kind. She's quite private in a lot of ways, but I like that she can hold her own in a kind way and she can manage big personalities as well. Because a lot of the work that I do, I don't just have this business, I have other businesses that I'm involved in, project management. And again, I help other people with their startups. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and I love that calm yet feminine energy that she has. So when I think of her and visualize her and step into almost playing her, I can hold that self-concept better. And it is becoming me more and more every single day. And for anyone who's been following me for a while, you'll know I've changed drastically in the last few years, particularly after leaving my husband over a year ago now. I feel unrecognizable, and that really has to do with the self-concept work I've been doing. So, daily visualization, self-concept work is number one. Tapping into the life you want to have, the person you want to be. Number two of the habits of the most successful female CEOs, athletes, and entrepreneurs is listening to your intuition about no's and yeses. Now, there gets a point in your career and in your business where, for those of you who are already quite successful in the traditional sense, but you're burning out, or you're doing all the things and it's all coming together, it's really interesting. We're always taught lead with yes, lead with yes, all of that. I want you to lead with no. I want you to practice this for a week. Just this activity, lead with no. And so if something comes to you, think of it as a no, unless it aligns with that first part, your future self, your future business, your future lifestyle, and who you want to become. If it aligns with those things, then it's a yes. If it does not, it is a no. But be ready for the no. And I mentioned a few weeks ago on the podcast that Giselle Bundchen talked about this. If you never say no, your yes means nothing. And I really want you to think about high-end restaurants, high-end services. The reason that they can charge so much and they do feel so bougie, so special, is because it's exclusive. Not everyone can have access to that. And so I want you to be a little bit more exclusive too. Now that's scary, but something I often remind my clients who, when we go through, things like pricing, when they're increasing their pricing, you need less clients with higher pricing to get the same amount. So for example, if you have five $10,000 clients, so you get 50,000, but you increase your program to 20,000, you only need 2 to 3 rather than 5 to meet the same goal. But that's got to be in you. You've got to be okay with having less clients, but charging more for the same result. And not just that, actually even better results, because you're not as burnt out because you're serving less people. And the people you do serve get way more of you, get way better quality of service. And again, there is a market for everyone. So you might not be the top end, but I just want you to think about that, because a lot of the time, to free up your time to have less burnout, it is about charging more. It is about doing exactly what you were doing before, but just charging more. That's like the quickest way to reduce burnout, is just charge more and have less clients, but you're doing the exact same work, but better. So again, listening to your intuition about no's and yeses. So again, when we work together, and you can do this, start to notice this on yourself, is when does it feel good to say yes? And when does it feel good to say no? And, think about a time when you said yes and really you meant no, and what that feeling was in your body. It was probably a choked up throat, maybe a funny feeling in your stomach. You felt it physically. So start noticing that and really giving yourself permission. Again, another concept I love, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. So number two was listening to intuition about your no's and yeses. The third habit we're going to talk about, moving fast on decisions. Now, the most anxiety that is created is from indecision or a lack of answers. Now, burnout and anxiety are inextricably linked. So when you're feeling constantly anxious or in a state of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn constantly, your nervous system is overwhelmed with cortisol, adrenaline, frying out your nervous system with this like turbo juice right? That's what it is it's going to burn you out. Now, when do we feel the most anxious? We have the most adrenaline and cortisol in our body is when we cannot control a situation. And usually that's from a lack of decisions or a lack of an answer. And so you're better off moving faster on a decision because here's the thing is that if you make 20 decisions in a week and you make them fast and maybe you make 8 mistakes, you will still have better results from the 12 good decisions you made and the 8 mistakes that you made than let's say you only made 10 decisions and you made 9 good ones, but one bad one because you were overthinking it, being perfectionistic about it. Those 9 good ones are less than the 12 good ones that you made making 20 fast decisions, even though you made much more mistakes with the 20. So moving fast with your decisions means you move faster generally. Have an idea, implement, work it, it failed. Have an idea, implement, work it, it works. Have an idea, implement, work it, let's do it. Rather than going, what are the details? How is this going to work out? Who do I need to contact? Maybe I just need to sit. Now, don't get me wrong. There are times where you need to sit and reflect and feel because, maybe it's an unexpected thing out of nowhere, but most decisions can be made much faster. So that would be my number 3 habit to get into. And it can be small decisions like, what am I going to wear? Who, da 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 da, all of this. Just make a decision, move fast, move fast. Remove that decision fatigue by making faster decisions. Okay, number 4 is what I call complete downtime, almost like mini holidays. And so, what I mean by this is let's say it gets to the weekend and those are your days off. I want you to treat it like a holiday. And what do we do on holidays? We don't have Wi Fi sometimes. We leave our phone in the room in the hotel because what do we need it for? Or someone else can take their camera or their phone. So, complete downtime is no cooking, no cleaning, no watching anything educational, no phones. The reason I say that is because all of those things are quote unquote productive. A lot of people are doing those things because they want to feel proactive, productive, and that's not a full rest. A full, complete downtime, like a mini holiday, is reading a book, hanging out with the kids at the park. And don't get me wrong, the kids can stress you out, but you're just hanging out. You're not thinking. You're being present to the moment, even if the moment's hard because you've got kids or parents or whatever, right? So when you have downtime, you're not checking emails, making appointments, like put that time in your work schedule time. But when you're on downtime, it is downtime. You are literally closing the door on all things work related. Make sure anything work related is locked in a room or a cupboard out of sight. Every time you catch yourself going on LinkedIn or trying to check something, no, complete downtime. Now, this is one that can feel really uncomfortable at first when you start trying it. So you can work up to a whole day. Maybe you start with 15 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, work your way up. But I'm telling you, when you have complete break from something, when you come back to it, you get way more clarity, way more energy, way more positivity. And not just that, the legacy that you're leaving behind is that when she was with me, she was present with me. She knew how to shut off from work. You don't want to be that person where, people are gossiping at your funeral going, she was just a workaholic. I don't even remember the last time she looked me in the eye or like made me feel like she was fully present. And she always had her phone on the table. Like she was always checking messages when we were talking with each other. Like, you don't want to be that rude person. You want to be someone that makes people feel seen and heard, and that your presence outweighs anything else. So, those are the 4 habits of the most successful female CEOs, athletes, entrepreneurs, and business owners that are really going to help you in 2025. Now, I'm curious, let me know which one is the one that you're most interested in or you're going to implement, whether it's the daily visualization and self-concept work, the listening to your intuition about no's and yeses, whether it's moving faster on decisions if you're a procrastinator, or if you're going to do complete downtime. Let me know your comments below. Let me know your answers. Reach out to me on Instagram and TikTok. I cannot wait to hear what you get from this. So, thank you again for being here for another episode of Burnout to Brilliance. Have a wonderful day, wonderful week, and again, be kind to yourself.